Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
I'm still fuming as I sit here typing away on my laptop. I just can't believe the audacity of our HOA. I've lived in this neighborhood for over 5 years now, and I've always been diligent about following the rules. But somehow, they managed to find a way to fine me for something that's not even my fault. It all started a few weeks ago when I received a notice in the mail from the HOA stating that I had been fined $50 for having my trash can out on the wrong day. Now, I know what you're thinking, what's the big deal? Just put the trash can out on the right day. But here's the thing. My segment of the neighborhood has a different trash day than the rest of the neighborhood. It's always been that way, and I've never had any issues with it before. The fine was a slap in the face, especially considering I've been a model resident. I have always made sure my yard is well kept, paid my dues on time, and even volunteered for neighborhood events. Receiving that fine felt like a betrayal. I immediately checked the calendar to make sure I hadn't messed up, but as I suspected, my trash day hadn't changed. I was beyond frustrated. I was shocked and frustrated when I received the fine, so I decided to call the HOA to dispute it. After being on hold for what felt like an eternity, I finally spoke to a representative who told me that they would roll back the fine and send me an email confirming the reversal. I was relieved, thinking that the whole ordeal was behind me. The representative assured me it was an oversight and that I wasn't the only one affected. The way they dismissed it as a minor clerical error didn't sit right with me, but I let it go, grateful it was being fixed. Fast forward to today, when I decided to check my online portal for my account. That's when I saw it. The fine had indeed been rolled back, but there was a new charge for $50. I was confused, so I clicked on the details to see what it was for. That's when I saw the ridiculous reason. Certified letter fee, are you kidding me? They fined me $50 for sending me a certified letter to tell me that they're not going to charge me $50. The absurdity of it all left me speechless. I mean, what kind of logic is that? I could feel my blood boiling. I wasn't the only one who received this absurd charge. 2 of my neighbors who also received the original fine saw the same thing on their accounts. We were all scratching our heads, wondering what kind of bureaucratic nonsense this was. It was like a bad joke, and none of us were laughing. We decided to have a quick meeting at my place to discuss our next steps. We sat around my kitchen table sipping on coffee and venting our frustrations. Mark, who lives 2 houses down, was particularly livid. He had received not 1 but 2 of these certified letter fees because he had disputed 2 different fines in the past month. And Susan, who just moved in last year, was already regretting her decision to buy a house here. "I'm seriously considering selling and moving out," Susan said, her voice tinged with exasperation. "This is just too much. First, they nitpick about the color of my mailbox, and now this, it's like they're looking for any excuse to charge us." Mark nodded in agreement. "I've lived in neighborhoods with HOAs before, but I've never dealt with anything this ridiculous. We need to do something about this." As I sat there, still fuming, I couldn't help but think about all the other ways that our HOA has failed us. The potholes on our streets that never get fixed, the broken playground equipment that's been out of commission for months, the constant nitpicking about trivial things like lawn length and mailbox color. It's like they're more interested in generating revenue than actually serving the community. I remember last summer when the community pool was closed for almost the entire season because they claimed there was a need for extensive repairs. We all paid for the pool in our dues, but we couldn't use it. When it finally reopened, it looked exactly the same. Where did all that money go? Nobody knew, and the HOA refused to provide a detailed breakdown of the expenses. And let's not forget about the community newsletter. Every month, it's filled with rules and regulations rather than helpful community updates or events. There's never any mention of the neighborhood block party we used to have annually, until the HOA decided it was too much of a liability. Now our sense of community has dwindled, replaced by a constant fear of being fined for some obscure rule violation. I decided I wasn't going to let this slide. I plan to call the HOA again in the morning to get this sorted out. I'm not going to let them get away with this. I'll be polite but firm, and I'll make sure to ask for a supervisor if necessary. I'm not going to let them push me around. Before going to bed, I drafted a detailed email to the HOA outlining my grievances. I made sure to list every instance where I felt the HOA had failed to serve the community. I attached pictures of the potholes, the broken playground equipment, and even a screenshot of my account showing the absurd certified letter fee. I figured having everything in writing would help strengthen my case when I called them. As I sit here, still fuming, I can't help but think about all the other ways that our HOA has failed us. We pay our dues every month, and this is what we get in return. It's unacceptable. The more I think about it, the more I realize that this isn't just about the $50. It's about the principle. It's about standing up against an organization that seems to care more about money than the well-being of its residents. The next morning, armed with my email and a renewed sense of determination, I dialed the HOA's number. As expected, I was put on hold. I drummed my fingers on the desk, trying to keep my cool. After what felt like ages, a representative finally answered. "Good morning, this is Karen from the HOA. How can I assist you today?" Her overly cheerful tone did nothing to calm my nerves. "Hi, Karen. This is John from Maple Street. I received a fine for having my trash can out on the wrong day, which was later rolled back. However, I've now been charged $50 for a certified letter informing me of the reversal. I find this charge to be completely unjustified and would like it removed from my account." There was a brief pause. "Let me look into that for you, John. Can you hold for a moment?" "Sure," I replied, gritting my teeth. As I waited, I thought about all the times I had reached out to the HOA with legitimate concerns, only to be met with indifference or excuses. The playground, the pool, the potholes, it was like they just didn't care. "John, thank you for holding." Karen's voice broke into my thoughts. "I've reviewed your account, and I see the charge. Unfortunately, the certified letter fee is non-refundable, as it's part of our administrative costs." I felt a surge of anger. Karen, with all due respect, charging residents $50 to inform them that they won't be charged $50 is absurd. This isn't about administrative costs. It's about fairness and transparency. I've already sent an email detailing my grievances and attaching evidence. I'd like to escalate this issue to a supervisor. "One moment, please." Her tone had lost some of its cheerfulness. I was transferred to a supervisor named David. I reiterated my concerns, emphasizing the lack of logic behind the fee and the growing dissatisfaction among residents. David listened quietly, which I appreciated, and promised to look into the matter personally. He assured me I would receive a response within 48 hours. As I hung up the phone, I felt a mix of relief and lingering frustration. This battle was far from over, but at least I had made my voice heard. I knew that I couldn't stop at just my complaint. I needed to rally the neighborhood, to bring everyone's grievances to light, and demand accountability from our HOA. That evening, I decided to organize a community meeting. I printed flyers and distributed them to my neighbors, inviting them to join me at the local park the following weekend. I also created a Facebook group for our neighborhood to facilitate better communication and gather support. The response was overwhelming. People shared their stories, their frustrations, and their ideas for how we could hold the HOA accountable. As the day of the meeting approached, I felt a sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could make a difference. I spent hours preparing my notes, gathering evidence, and planning my speech. I wanted to ensure our voices were heard loud and clear. The day of the meeting arrived, and the turnout was better than I expected. Neighbors who had never spoken to each other were now united in a common cause. We discussed the issues we faced, from the ridiculous fines to the neglected maintenance. We formed a committee to address these concerns and decided to present our demands to the HOA at their next board meeting. In the days leading up to the board meeting, I received a response from David. He informed me that after reviewing my case, the HOA had decided to waive the certified letter fee as a gesture of goodwill. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. However, this didn't change my resolve to push for broader changes. As I stand here now, addressing my neighbors at the HOA board meeting, I feel a surge of pride. We're not just individuals fighting isolated battles. We're a community standing together for what's right. I make my case, supported by the voices and stories of my neighbors. The board members seem taken aback by our unity and determination. I don't know what the outcome will be, but one thing is certain. We've taken the first step towards reclaiming our community. This is far from over, but I'm confident that together we can make a difference. I'll keep you updated on how this unfolds. Wish me luck, we're going to need it. Send them a bill for $100 for receipt and handling of certified mail. When they tell you that you don't have the authority to frivolously charge them, exclaim, "AHA, so you do understand that concept. Remove the charge or I'll see you in court." If that doesn't work, submit plans for a 50-feet ham radio tower in your front lawn. When they decline, submit the federal law showing them they have no say about the installation. Check your CC&R. Unless there is language that explicitly allows them to charge for a certified letter for their mistake, then it's not allowed. At the next HOA meeting, bring this up and ask the following. Why was a certified letter required to be sent when they had already sent an email? Why are they charging residents for a mistake that the HOA made? Why are they charging residents for the cost of a certified letter at all? Why does the certified letter cost $50 when the post office charges less than $5? What steps have been put in place by the HOA to prevent this from happening again? Sending out a certified letter that a fine has been assessed makes sense. That provides a paper trail that the homeowner has had a fine assessed to them. The op said that the letter was sent out to notify the user that the fine had been rolled back. This was after they had sent an email, which would have been sufficient notice to the homeowner. $50 cost per letter seems punitive. The homeowner should ask how that cost is determined and where the money goes.
What are the chances I'll be involuntarily pulled into an HOA from this CC&R? Considering a home in a new construction neighborhood in California, I've come across a concerning clause in the CC&R's covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Article 13.2 states, reservation of right, to create a common interest development declarant, hereby reserves any and all rights to, prior to the close of escrow on the last lot within the project, to create a common interest development, and further elaborates on how such a common interest development, CD, would be governed. The absence of an HOA and my realtor's assurance that there probably won't be one provides some reassurance, but this clause has me worried about potential risks. This language has sparked concern for me, as I'm generally wary of homeowners associations, OAs, due to their often restrictive rules and fees. The possibility that the builder could establish an HOA before the project is completed is unsettling, and I'm unsure how to proceed. While it's possible that this clause is just standard legal language included in many CC&Rs, it's also important to consider the potential implications. If the builder does decide to establish an HOA, it could mean added expenses and restrictions on how I can use and maintain my property. I've discussed my concerns with my realtor, who suggests that the absence of an HOA is likely, but I'm still hesitant. Is there a way to verify whether the builder intends to install an HOA once the project is closer to completion? I want to make sure I'm making an informed decision and not taking on unnecessary risks.
Can HOAs charge me fine for a reason, then change it? I have a moon and sun pattern tapestry inside my window to black out the sunlight. Note it is being used with the blinds, but my dog broke a few of them, so I pulled up the blind then put the dark window covering there. My HOA fined me $15 saying, the use of reflective coverings is prohibited by CC&Rs. But I don't have any kind of reflective fabric. I only use the dark one to block the sunlight. I told them I don't have any reflective covering. Then they changed their words. The use of shiny window covering inside window is prohibited, and if I want to use it, they need to ask for the board's decision about allowing the use of my window covering. I told them again I don't have any reflective or shiny covering. Then they changed their words to, the use of any window covering inside window is prohibited, and if I want to use it, they need to ask for the board's decision about allowing the use of my window covering. If I want to use it, they need to ask for the board's decision about allowing the use of my window covering. So I appealed them for permission to use my covering. A day after I sent my appeal letter, I got another fine of $40 plus $15 being certified mail fee. A couple days later, they rejected my appeal, this time saying the use of blankets are prohibited according to CC&Rs. Also, broken blinds need to be fixed. I don't know where they come up with these random CC&Rs, but both times the letter only said I should not be using reflective window covering, which I do not have.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share.
Check out this other video if you haven't already.